Noel Nation, welcome into another episode of the Renegade Rundown. As always, my beautiful co-host, Jen Santee, aka Jen Noel 2013, at Jen Santee 1890. You can find her on X. And she does not disappoint. She keeps us rolling and stitches on the timeline. She's always watching these podcasts that we can't find the time to watch and pointing out all the just ridiculous stuff some of these fan bases are doing. Who knows? We're even talking about a possible another show to add to the repertoire here on the network. Maybe Jen and something a little bit more her speed. Petty is her favorite color, as everybody knows here. Also, the big man, Chip Westerly, down at the bottom of the screen, Unconquered 850. Believe he's working. You're working towards what, 8,000 or 9,000 on your Facebook group, and he's got
right at
7,000. Big time. I mean, all within what, like a year and a half?
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. He started, maybe a month or two before me kind of messing with this stuff. It's been a pretty fun ride for both of us. And you've also got a podcast in the works, if I'm not mistaken, called Chop Talk.
Chop Talk. And
right,
us three will be on that.
Let's go. Something a little different. It'll be fun, more towards the not every day isn't about highlight or the headlines and keeping up with Florida State football. More about stories and bringing on people. If you don't know, Chip played football and he has a lot of connections and people you wouldn't believe, celebrities and everything else. So we're gonna have some fun with that. But anyways, welcome in, guys. This thing, when it comes to the ACC suit and conference realignment and all these things, we never get a day off. So we get another bombshell announcement here. The SEC and the Big 10 are forming an alliance. I've been on record. I've talked about it a ton. People probably tired of hearing me talk about it. The past 2 years, past year and a half, especially. This thing is going to a power two. It's like the writing is on the wall. The SEC has gone and the Big 10 has gone so far ahead of these other conferences. We watched the Pac-12 collapse in real time. We're watching not Miami, excuse me. I just love hating on Miami. We're watching the ACC do the same thing in the Big 12, just lost Oklahoma and Texas. It's going to a P2. We've been talking about it a long time. You're going to have a commissioner. You're going to have some kind of breakaway from the NCAA. And to their credit, they've said, no, that's not what this is at all. But, initial reactions, I'm wondering what, Jim, we'll start with you. What do you think when you saw that?
Well, I mean, it's not surprising, but in reality, I mean, this is really just, the SEC and the Big 10 trying to get on the same page so they don't outpace each other, I guess, in the NIL game. They're going to outpace the Big 12. They're going to outpace the ACC with maybe the exception of a few other schools in each of those leagues. My guess would just be the ACC, and that would be two. But it's really, to me, and maybe I'm just not making a big enough deal about it. I just feel like this was bound to happen. It was always going to happen. I don't think that it means that they're going to work together. I don't think that they're really becoming friends. They hate each other. Everybody knows that. I think this is really just about trying to keep each one from outpacing each other.
That's just some kind of regulation. That's the main thing about it. They want to, I think the key thing and, what's holding a lot of this stuff back, it's why the NCAA is toothless. They're not employees. So you're going to get a commissioner, an ability to maybe move towards employees and to where they can actually regulate how they pay these guys. You think, Skip? I skip. Okay, I'm retarded. Chip, excuse my language.
One thing I've never agreed with, just two power conferences. At minimum, you should have four. That way, possibility of each team putting in three teams, maybe two teams and two that are, not in a conference. But, you could put Miami by itself in the ACC and Miami still wouldn't win.
Facts. Miami, man. That would be hilarious, if they really did win one afterwards.
Sorry,
the first year Florida State gets out.
Can you just wave and say hi? Just wave and say hi. Okay.
What's up?
All right.
Who do we get to say hello to?
That was Eastwood, and then
What's
here's
up,
Ella.
Eastwood?
Say hi.
Hey, young
Sorry,
lady.
they'll linger if I don't let them say hello.
That's okay. We love it. We love it. I'm trying to get this thing pulled up so we can see their um, exact statement. But yeah, look, if the power two is just, it was inevitable. It's the reason, and as it relates to Florida State, it's just, it's one more thing out there that goes to show, when the two most powerful by miles and miles get together and say, okay, we're going to work together and come up with solutions. We're going to hire a commissioner and stuff. I look at it and I'm looking at an AFC and an NFC situation. The currently one's at 16, one's at about 20. I could see them getting both up to maybe 24. They could have a really cool thing with relegation. You could play that into it. We could talk about it all day. But the key is going to basically be you got to be in one of the two big conferences. And that's Florida State's contention in this lawsuit is that, we can't compete unless we're over there. So it's like, you're trying to make out like we're ruining your conference, this and that, but you didn't. You could have went this way. You went another way. But continued thoughts. What do you think, Jen?
Well, I mean, what with the ACC? Yeah, the ACC could have gone multiple different ways. They chose to raid the Big East. They chose to not require anybody with any sort of football aspirations to come in. They chose to sit idly by. And then they wanted everybody to, stand up and cheer when they invited Stanford, Cal, and SMU in. And I don't even think SMU is a bad ad. I think that's a good ad, especially if you're not paying them. But what I'm saying is, you had the opportunity. Oh, well, let's just not even bring in the Notre Dame crap that they, tried. At the end of the day, if they ever become in a conference, they're going to come to the ACC. No, they're not. You're lying to us. You're lying to yourselves. But we're not going to pay them for football. Whoops, we did. So yeah, the ACC is just
yeah, that's something that got brought up on Chris Frazier's show, Spear Addicts, last night. That a lot of this stuff, because this is the great state of Florida and nothing stays sealed, that a lot of stuff got brought up that, while everybody else was in the negative for the 2020 season because of COVID, Notre Dame made money, and they made money courtesy of the ACC, which is already showed they're crooked as hell and they have a lot to hide. The ACC has shit the bed, and I promise you, when it comes to this, will never see the light of day in court because the ACC will settle. And I wouldn't be surprised, like we said on the show last night, that we might make money and not have to pay to even come out.
Without a doubt, man. I mean, there's we've talked about it on here a ton. Those skeletons and everything back in there really are deep. They're not going to let there's no way they're going to let it get down to that bone. We're going to see some kind of settlement. And yeah, that's what me and Jen have talked about, 120 to 150. But like we talked about on here, if that nuclear warhead exists and Florida State already kind of knows what they're looking for when it comes to discovery, yeah, watch out. They're not going to let it get there. But as far as how this, this Big Two alliance between the Big Ten and the SEC affects college football and, Florida State within it, Kev is on the right track here. He says if it helps get rid of the NCAA, and good, I believe is what he meant. Look,
yeah,
what this would basically do, and I just mentioned it, the NCAA's come pretty toothless. They've lost a lot of lawsuits the past couple of years under the leadership of Charlie Baker and Stanley Wilcox. It's like they've been giving up a lot of ground. And they've been trying to play things. Oh yeah, we're not going to make any rules. I'll govern yourself. And then what happens? All of a sudden you see Florida State hit with sanctions, and all of a sudden, bam, 4 or 5 different schools get hit with sanctions, but they don't take them. Like all these other schools that are getting hit, Tennessee, they're suing. They're getting the legislature involved. It's like, then you hear this come out with the Big Ten SEC alliance and kind of where the playoff is going with including multiple networks and having this giant kind of, auction for the rights. I think the writing is on the wall in this P2 thing, ESPN and kind of the idea of putting Alabama in and leaving Florida State, all that stuff just exacerbated this because these coaches around the country are like, man, if that could happen to me, so they're just not going to let it happen. But basically, once the Big Ten and the SEC made this alliance, came up with another, the NCAA would be reduced to, I guess, just tier 2 and tier 3 rights. I mean, it would basically have no room for it in college football. What could they possibly do to help?
What do they do to help now?
Basically, I guess academics. If you hear like a TJ Altimore talk about it, like they do handle the institutions, and like I said, the tier 2 and the tier 3. There is some of like that thing they talk about, but forever, how long has it been? Football pays for everything. Football moves the needle. Like it is, it's where their bread is, buttered. And I agree with Kev. You get 2 mega conferences. You get an AFC, you get an NFC. Whether you call it the South and the North or the East and the West or whatever have you. It's just get over there as fast as you can, because if you're not in, you're out, and it's just going to be it.
Wait, George, are you trying to tell me that Stanley Wilcox is not running something properly?
Imagine that.
Because I wasn't aware that he was inept at what he did.
Man, I've stated this before, and this is probably just something a lot of viewers have heard me say before. The guy could fall into a tub full of titties and come out sucking a dick.
Yes, it sounds about right. And it's like when you have that representing you, it makes for a long, tough road. We really hit the gold mine when Michael Alford showed up and took over the Boosters Association,
Yes.
Got that thing straightened up, and then got over here and became our AD. It doesn't get better. And I'm sure we'll talk about this more later. People have questions. Who knows what will pop up while we're doing the show. But another conversation that y'all had on y'all's most recent show last night. And we have our resident expert when it comes to coaching searches on the panel, and my co-host Jen. Adam Fuller, in his 4 years here at Florida State, has taken a lot of heat from the fan base. Kind of more the whole fan base the first couple of years, when you're feeling it out, trying to figure out what this thing's going to be. The last couple of years, though, he's been sensational. The adjustments, the scheme, everything he's done, every kind of move they've made, bringing Pat Surtain in. That Fuller D has really been great. He's become a fan favorite. I mean, we had a top 10 defense in the country, like a top 3 pass defense. I think we gave up like 4 touchdowns the whole year passing. Like it was just, before that Georgia game. So he's become kind of a fixture in the coaching staff. And one of the biggest things about this coaching staff has been its consistency. Mike Norvell has went for continuity over getting rid of a Randy Shannon or somebody who people are constantly complaining about their recruiting. He keeps the staff together for continuity, and as a staff as a whole, the continuity has grown. So I expect them 100% to keep Fuller. But when you're going to be successful, when you're going to go 13-0, when you're going to win conference and championships, these are the kind of things that happen. So, far be it for me to ever want to see Fuller to go. I hope he stays. I think he does stay. But, you can't mistake kind of the soft factors that tie him to the job. And, anybody out there who is saying like, yeah, go so we can do this or do that, you really need to look in the mirror, because that's a youth thing. Because, what he's done as a defensive coordinator has been nothing short of impressive. And I can't wait to see what this thing's going to look like going forward. But what are you hearing, Jen? Or what are you hearing around surrounding that Boston College job and possible candidates?
So, well, I don't really have too much of a foothold in it. I do know that Bill O'Brien and Dan Mullen might be their top candidates right now. And I know Bill O'Brien was just hired at Ohio State, but that's just kind of what I've heard there. I'm not saying he's taking the job. I'm saying they might be trying to outkick their coverage a little bit in that scenario. I think another name to look out for is Candle from Toledo. The head coach at Toledo. I think Candle is another. I don't know that Boston College right now. I don't think Fuller is at the top of their list. I will say that.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I don't think the issue is, I don't think he's number 1 on the list. I don't know if he's number 2, number 3, number 4. The issue would be if some of these top guys don't take the job. That's kind of when you would start to sweat.
And I can kind of see some of these top guys not taking that job. Now I could see the candle guy from Toledo taking the job. That I could see, but I also don't know that Adam Fuller takes that job if it falls in his lap. And here's why. He knows what a mess the ACC is. Okay. He knows what a mess that is. He knows that Florida State's getting out of the ACC. And he also knows that Boston College has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Except either stay in the ACC or hope that, maybe the Big 12 opens up a spot for them, which, I don't know that they would. And by the way, I mean, the Big 12, they don't have a guaranteed seat at the table either at this point right now.
Big 12 is in the same position the ACC is. They could go undefeated and they would get left out of the playoffs, just the way FSU was.
Basically, the Big 12 they just lost their Clemson and Florida State. Like, their goose is totally cooked. You know what I mean? Yeah, I have no doubt.
They did a little better with their ads, though, when they lost their two. But, they added some pretty nice pieces. I don't see them as bad as the ACC would be right now if Clemson and Florida State left. So if you look at
I agree with you there.
So I think it's a better conference in that. And plus, they're paid more. They're paid more than the ACC is right now.
Yeah, they're paid a little better.
So,
but yeah, both shitty situations kind of modeled after each other and kind of tweaked and things over the years. It's a big mess for those two for sure. But you hit the nail on the head. Like, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the other name that I've heard for Boston College, which is a little outside the box, and I'm just saying Matt Hasselbeck.
Matt Hasselbeck.
Another one. Yeah.
He's an intelligent dude. He's been on TV. Both the Hasselbeck brothers, right, have been on TV for quite a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be neat. I just, like you said, going within the ACC, like we've seen, like he was just part and parcel to getting left out of the playoffs at Florida State in the ACC as undefeated conference champion. So basically going to a Boston College, I mean, what are you thinking? And when I look at the Boston College job over the past, 5-10 years or whatever that you've had it, you had Steve Adazio come in there, really give his heart and soul to that job, had some good years, really kind of developed a culture of smash mouth football there, but couldn't get it done and had to go like be an analyst and then like a coordinator or whatever he is now. And the same thing, Jeff Hafley is having to leave to go be a coordinator, take a coordinator job in the NFL, yada, yada, et cetera. Unless that was like the career, thing for him, he just really wanted to be back in Boston, Mass, where he could do that. That would be the only case. But how are you feel about it, Chip?
Well, the reason why I would put it at 50-50 that he stays or goes, and the reason why I say that is because he is from that area. Mm-hmm. That would be the reason why I would say that he goes, because he's where he grew up. Now, James Coleman came out last night and he said that he had a good feeling that he didn't go. So, the reason why I say 50-50 is because, money can talk, and it being your hometown and everything, that can say a lot. But both of y'all are correct. The ACC is a sinking ship, and Fuller knows this, and he knows that we're not the Titanic. We're not going down. We'll end up being in a lot better situation after we put the final nail in the coffin on the ACC.
Facts, without a doubt, man. Yeah. What was I going to say? I had a point there, but it's one of those things. It just goes right out of my head, but maybe I'll remember it later. But just, it is like a Power 5 job. That's the thing. I remember what my point was now. I think Chip accidentally dropped his phone there. But at Florida State, if you're going to be an offensive coordinator under Mike Norvell runs that thing. It's his baby. He calls plays currently. Even when Dillingham was here, a guy who called the plays and everything at Auburn comes over. to a certain extent, it's always going to be the Mike Norvell offense. So I can understand guys, leaving, maybe taking a lesser job, not shooting for the stars because of that reason. But I just feel like, with Adam Fuller being able to have complete autonomy and control that defense and it be, kind of a dominant force, he could do better. It's basically what I'm saying. I think even though Boston College is home, I feel like he could just do better if he's going to go take that head coaching gig. I just think he's more lean towards longevity, but we will definitely see. You never know how these things turn out from day to day.
I mean, and also look at things that are coming down the pike right now. I think a better job's going to be open. I think before we know it, Boston College could be like a G5.
Yeah, without a doubt.
They may not be Power 5 by the time this all ends up. So I don't know. I think Fuller is probably interested in a better job than Boston College. And there's quite a few of those that, should come open soon. And I also won't dismiss Boston College hiring their OC that they currently have right now. I don't dismiss that because I know their quarterback has come out saying he's going to stay. But that just kind of keeps that continuity in the room and all those things. And you keep kids going from the transfer portal, which we know anybody who is any good at Boston College tries to leave to go somewhere better. So I just, I think that would help out with that type of incident.
Well, God forbid it happened, but if the case did happen, it did. We did have to hire a defensive coordinator. I'm curious who you guys think. I look around the nation. There's not a ton of names that pop out. I know they talked about the linebackers coach at Miami last night at Spear Addicts, and I love the idea of him coming in. I kind of had it stuck in my head that the defensive coordinator would have to coach a position group so that if we bought in a linebacker coach, that would eliminate the linebacking coach position, but that's incorrect. I mean, there's the 4 position groups and the coordinator. So we could bring in a Nicholson from Miami and he could take over as coordinator and Randy Shannon could stay. And I think that's a slam dunk because that knocks out 2 birds with one stone. You've got a stud young guy who's a Florida State guy. He's a killer recruiter. So bam, that handles your linebacker recruiting net. And then you also have the guy who's, one of the best developers in the game and just been around it forever, and Randy Shannon. That's the name that immediately sticks out to me. People have talked about Pat Surtain. I think Adam Fuller would have to stick around a year or 2 longer for him to be kind of at the top of that short list. But I'm really, really interested in what you guys' take on that is.
Well, I know that people are going to start booing you for saying Randy Shannon should take over as DC, I think.
When did I say that?
Oh, I thought that's what you just said. I'm sorry. Did I hear you
Derek
wrong?
Nicholson from Miami would take over as DC.
Oh, okay.
So that would handle the linebacker
I got a little
recruiting.
confused. I was like, okay. So you want to bring over Derek Nicholson, the linebacker coach from Miami, to be the DC and keep Randy Shannon as linebacker coach, right?
That was the first thing that popped in my head. It's a possibility.
Okay. I mean, I could see it. What do you think about well, I guess that really wouldn't work. I don't know if Ernie Sims is ready for that because I know he was let go at UCF, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact situation, but that would be meaning you letting Randy Shannon go. That's a different,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's a different scenario for sure. What do you think about that?
I think Randy Shannon is a great developer. So I'm not down. I'm not on this fire the coaching staff train just yet.
Well, that's the idea. If you, cool if for whatever happened, Fuller left, you could bring in a Nicholson or whether it be some other stud linebacker coach somewhere else. And bam, that handles your recruiting problem. And that's kind of the only thing about Shannon that people have issues with. So if you could bring in a guy that specializes in bringing in linebackers,
so I
boom,
keep hearing
you've
people
got both
say
sides.
Nicholson isn't gettable. Do you know why he's not gettable? Why is he not gettable for Florida State?
That is a good question. He's not, FSU is not on the market for a coordinator currently. So I guess people can say that with impunity, knowing that Adam Fuller, 90% chance. I know Chip is closer to 50-50, but good chance Adam Fuller stays. So, yeah, he can say that till the cows come home. But I don't know.
I'm a firm believer that Fuller stays. But I
Yeah.
said 50-50 because you never know
Yeah.
like what he's thinking. So that's why I say that. I'd be 100% down to add, if Fuller did leave, Nicholson come on as our DC court or defense coordinator because he is a former Knoll. I'm gonna be 100% down on Ernie Sims coming in and being position coach because he is a former Seminole star. So, hell, I even mentioned last night I'd love to bring Crow in and have Antonio Cromartie on staff.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to see him get on staff. I know there was a time he was, kind of shopping around. Possibly that was an opportunity. He was wanting an on-field position last year. I think maybe there was an opportunity on an off-the-field thing, but he wasn't, ready for that at that point in time. But I think, maybe things have changed. I would love to see that. I would absolutely love to see him get on the staff and work his way up. Because like we've said, if I think the natural progression of things happens, and we can move on from this, you just a fun conversation to have. And like Chip said, you never know what happens with these things. I think the natural progression would be for Patrick Surtain to evolve into the DC whenever that happens. If Adam Fuller does 2 or 3 years down the road, decide to go be a head coach somewhere, and then you're going to need a DB coach. So, if you had a guy like Crow as your DB analyst or whatever the case may be, 2 years you look at, boom, now you're the DB coach. So I would absolutely love that. Every time we've been lucky enough to talk to him a couple times on some spaces and stuff, he's a Knoll through and through, and nobody knows kind of that cornerback position better than him. I mean, when you look at what he did in the NFL, like they call him the prototype, it's and a well-deserved thing. That Jets defense with him and Cromartie on it was like one of the all-time defenses of all time. Just all that length. He's kind of, when you talk about the prototype of what Patrick Surtain wants to bring into Florida State, that's it. That's, Crow's that guy.
I mean, and who would have thought that Norvell's staff would evolve and have a former Seminole legend at quarterback as one of his offensive analysts, and him adding Coach Stockstill.
Somebody had it up on the it was one of the comments I threw up earlier, and that's a good kind of shifting point here. He said, "Can we just all celebrate that Willie Taggart's payroll is off the books?" And that happened a couple of days ago. Obviously, the different funding has been improved and gone through. The guys have the jets. All of a sudden, we don't see the little bubble helicopter anymore. They've got these jet copters and these big old, Apache-looking helicopters like Miami would rent to fly to Palm Beach or whatever and make a big deal out of it. But you mentioned it, like you're seeing the money all of a sudden. It's not hiding. It's been a long time since the Florida State coach was jet setting the way Florida State has the past couple weeks. And like you said, to be able to hire a Rick Stockstill, like you lost some analysts and stuff that went to other programs to take, in some case, higher analyst jobs. I believe one of them might even have got a position coach job at a smaller school. But you replace that with a guy like a head coach from Middle Tennessee that just took down Miami by himself recently. Yeah, that's huge. And I'm really, it wouldn't surprise me to see a couple more big names added to that. And another big thing, like it's a new era. People are all up in arms, talking about how these coaches, they're going to the NFL. They're sick and tired of it. But the product is great. I've never been more into Florida football. Florida State football, has never been more popular. It's about to move into what I believe is going to be its most popular era ever. It's just different. It's just these things come in waves. You lose the big names, just like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, and these guys are kind of gone from the NFL. It's the same thing over here, and it's the Mike Norvell era. That's whose time. I'm trying to think of some different young names, Jimmy Lake, whoever, DeBoer. It's like it's that era. It's a new era of young coaches. What is there? 2 coaches currently active left with national championships?
Mac Brown, right?
Yeah, Mac
and
Brown.
Kirby.
That's about it. I guess.
Mac
Does
Brown
Ryan Day have one?
Dabo.
Yeah. Very, very, very short list for sure.
Yeah. I
don't think that Nick Saban still won't be behind the scenes in Alabama like a puppet master pulling strings.
Oh, they're not
100%,
even
he's got a
making it behind the
job.
scenes. He's like the
Yeah, he's got an
he's like the
office,
GM of the team. Yeah,
and he's
like
getting
the
paid,
Bobby
and he's
Towers.
getting
He's got the
paid.
Bobby Towers thing going on over there. Oh yeah, he's getting paid. He's the
Yeah.
yeah. That's right out there in the open. It's pretty wild. I mean, that's who am I to judge? I mean, be the head coach of Alabama. You're talking about a huge position. Kalen DeBoer was just in a national championship game, but to take
Isn't
that
it
job and
wild?
basically have,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, all right, you can take the job, but here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut your legs off, and we're gonna do the walking for you. It's just like, man, it's like to have, and it's like, I can't think of anything to compare it to. And I just remember Bobby Bowden when he left, and Jimbo told the story, Bobby told the story. When I leave, I understand. Like, I love this program. I'm gonna be back. I'm not abandoning it or anything. But Jimbo's first couple of years, I'm not gonna have in my head in the door every meeting. Not gonna be showing up to because it's his thing. You've got to change a culture. So I don't know. I guess the idea is to keep the culture, but I mean, it's kind of like the first couple of years with the Miami Heat when they struggled to get it together because you had LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, who was going to truly be the leader until somebody finally bowed down. That's when they started winning. So like it's the same thing over there. Either DeBoer is going to have to completely bow down to Saban and say, the Saban way, you just tell me what to do and I'll run the offense, or vice versa. Saban's just going to have to completely bow down and be like, look, I'm really not going to pressure you. I'm really not going to, we're going to know when they lose a game. When that first bad thing happens, it's either going to get ugly or it's going to be okay. But yeah, that sure is a
Oh,
tough spot to be in.
that's going to be ugly. Alabama fan. I mean, I think DeVore is an excellent coach, and I just feel like it's so wild if you think about it. Two coaches that just played in the national championship game left their schools.
That is
Isn't that weird?
That's the era we're in now.
That is so wild to me. I mean, you think about it, like used to, if you made a national championship game, you were like set, right? At least for a couple of years. Now these two coaches just said, peace, I'm out. Gonna go make more money, go get a better job. I mean, the University of Michigan isn't even safe anymore, right? I mean, so, and neither is Alabama, right? Alabama's not safe. So it's a different time. We're never going to have another Bobby. We're probably not going to have another Nick Saban. We're not probably. We're never going to have another Nick Saban. Probably not even going to have another Dabo. Like, I just think that the shelf life of some of these college coaches is going to be maybe 7 to 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's a grind.
Yeah.
It's gonna get ugly at Alabama. You see, nobody wants to say it, but the reason why Saban left is because he can no longer compete with this NIL. Nobody wants to say it, but it's the God's honest truth. He sees the writing on the wall. Hell, he gets out with 6 or 7 national championships.
I don't know that it's that he can't. I just don't think he wants to. I mean, at his age, is that me?
I'm not sure. It stopped.
Okay.
It stopped. Whatever it was, it's gone.
So, I mean, at his age, does he really want to sit there and re-recruit high schoolers all the time? Does he really want to have to do all this and spread his time out? I just think that it's getting so hard. These kids commit, whatever. And more power to the kids. I'm glad they have all the power. I really do. I'm just saying for a guy who's 70 something years old, he doesn't want to sit there and do that. He just doesn't, it's a lot of work. So I can definitely see why he wanted out. And I think he's also extremely type A, which is obvious by him keeping an office. I mean, I think he's a big control freak. I think it's probably taken a toll on him and his stress and probably his family situation. So he probably just said, but I also don't think he just went to the vending machine one morning and was like, hey, I'm retiring. I think this was long well known. I don't see Nick Saban just being like, oh, by the way, I'm not coming in tomorrow because I'm gonna retire. Like that isn't it. I don't think Alabama got their first choice, no matter what they want to say. I think they probably got their third, maybe fourth. And so we'll just, hey, I think DeBoer's a great coach, but I think Alabama fans are gonna run him off.
Yeah, it's just hard to reconcile. People give Mike Norvell a hard time about his recruiting, and DeBoer's is like, whoa, it's like whole another level of bad. And like,
Yeah.
whatever. He got close to like 24, and it's not like he was necessarily the portal savant, like Norvell was. What you had up there, I think I heard that 20 of the 22 starters were like upperclassmen and are gone now or transferred out. 20 of 22 of the starters. That's insane. We've never had anything close to that with Mike Norvell. So it's kind of a different thing. It just doesn't seem like the fit. And CHJ here, 229 says, is it true that Bama's NIL isn't up to par? Now, here's the thing with it. Okay. And this is why the battle's in is so unappreciated, in my opinion. When you think about Bama NIL, people just assumed it's this great NIL thing because of the fact that Bama was one of the tippy top recruiters year in, year out. But you had the Saban effect. When you've got a guy with 7 national championships, you come on a discount. You're able to talk somebody into something. When you're not, when all of a sudden that goes away and it's Kalen DeBoer, guy who's like averaging in the 70s or something in recruiting or whatever it is, ridiculous. Yeah, no, you want to get paid. And what the battle's end has done, as much as people don't want to realize it, even Georgia, I feel like Georgia has lost more stars now, be it they have more stars to lose. So kind of the bottom of their roster consists still of 4 or 5 stars. So there is that argument. But when it comes to NIL collectives and teams retaining like the core pieces, like picking the right pieces to keep and the right pieces to like advise down the road, what Florida State and Mike Norvell has done with those evaluations and building rosters in this contemptuous era, even with only being a top 20 guy, has been nothing short of amazing. Year in, year out, we can pull it up, the 15, 20 guys that leave. You look down the list and it's like, okay, who's the guy we lost that was, proven forward, going to be going forward, going to be a big name for us? Who was it? Trayshawn Ward was a guy that we lost that really could have been big. That's the biggest one I could think of this year. You look at a Marcus Douglas, but really lucky we have not lost starters. We lose a guy like Bless Harris, once he's been passed up on the depth chart, bless his heart. He did a great job for us and was amazing, but it's the natural progression of things. And yes, Bama was that far behind on it now, just for that reason, just because, they had Nick Saban. It's like it's like if you took me and Jen off the Renegade Report and you just threw 2 random people up here tomorrow. Maybe since I have 2,000, we have 2,000 subscribers, maybe it would do all right, but it wouldn't be the same thing. It'd be a brand new show. And you guys would not just automatically say, okay, we're going to watch this new show for 2-3 hours. Like you'd want to see what's it going to be like. What are these guys? Some losers or what? But I digress. Let somebody else talk. I just got on a rant there.
The one thing I was going to say is about the Alabama NIL too, with the funding of it, with the money of it. It was basically funded with Nick Saban's name attached to it. So he was the driving force with getting money in that NIL. And with Nick Saban gone, how does that work? It wasn't very it's not run by, like we have Battles In, right? That's run very well, but it's not attached to Mike Norvell, right? It doesn't depend on Mike Norvell doing speaking engagements and doing that to get the money into the coffers. That's what the Alabama NIL is right now. So they're going to have to restructure that clearly. And so I think that's kind of the issue right now. And also that those kids were coming to Alabama on a little bit of a discount, because they were going to play for the great Nick Saban. I mean, of course. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you had a perfect storm of where it kind of got messed up.
And don't forget that, they were passing around offering plates at family unions and weddings, which were the same thing.
Yeah, this whole NIL and paying players for a long time, they loved it. They loved it when it had to be underneath, the cover of night, and when only certain places could get away with it and have the help of kind of their state and local law enforcement and everybody else that's kind of in on the deal because you're in a random town in the middle of Alabama. And you can do that. One of the only places left in America you can do that kind of thing. You can buy a mom's painting for $100,000 that's just like a stick figure, or whatever the case may be. Sell Dodge Chargers for $3,000 off your lot. And these are all, I'm just talking what is it? I almost said hyperbole, but hypothetically, I'm not trying to make any accusation, slander anybody out there, but these are the things that went on across the country that we all knew about. Now that it's above board and, it can be done in an organized manner, all of a sudden the rabbit has the gun. Folks don't like it. All of a sudden it's the Big Ten and the SEC that want to get together and put a cap on this thing. We gotta do something here. Now that it just means more isn't enough. Now that when you get down to the dollars and cents, somebody can, even Alabama and Georgia, as big and great as they are, they can't offer starting money to a third string guy. You know what I mean? And when you take away that second and third string, that separates the men from the boys, and that's why you haven't had, Alabama hasn't been invincible. There used to be room for a couple of 2 or 3 teams to be like that, but we've seen basically Georgia has taken up so much oxygen kind of around the South. They have just dominated recruiting, and I think with Alabama leaving especially, a lot of real estate opens up, and it opens the door for Florida State to jump right in there. And regardless of the staff and who stays and who leaves, I love the assistants they're bringing in. I love the kind of tour of duty. You look at the transfer portal class that we've been over and over again, but we've got a guy in Amari Williams who commits tomorrow. You're talking about adding a guy who was a 5-star a couple months ago when he was in the class of 2025. He reclasses. I don't think he's not a 5-star anymore. I think maybe he has a better chance of redshirting, maybe plays a little bit less his freshman year, but he'll just, that year, it's meaningless once you get in the program for a couple of years. And I think he's a big time guy and the perfect kind of clay for Papuchis to mold. And curious on y'all's thoughts, how y'all are still feeling on him. I haven't heard anything to the contrary. Still feeling really good about a Florida State commitment from Amari Williams tomorrow.
Go ahead.
I went first last, Chip. I'll let you go. I went first.
Yeah, I feel good about it, but as is well known, until they put pen to paper, I don't really put a lot of weight into it because these kids change their mind like the weather changes.
Yeah, but at least this one is on signing day, so he's going to sign it.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. So if he commits to Florida State, I'm hoping he will. He'll at least sign that there, and maybe his mom won't run off with the letter of intent. I don't know. I don't know his family situation.
Well, the reason why I don't jump the gun and stuff is look what happened with the whole Travis Hunter fiasco. And, you had people going out burning Dion memorabilia because he decided to go to Jackson State. I mean, kids can change their mind. That's just how it is. I would rather concentrate on the fact that, Norvell, again, has signed a top 5 portal class and has a top 10 high school recruit class. I mean, the dude's hit it out of the park. If you do that every year, we'll slowly start creeping into Georgia's territory and creeping into some recruits that might go after Georgia.
Absolutely. We did it this year. We signed 4 or 5 guys out of the top 10 in Georgia. Unfortunately, KJ Bolden doesn't end up being one of them. So that knocked it down a little bit. But no, I absolutely agree. These guys are doing that work. I feel confident, but I'm right there with you. He broke me. Travis Hunter, that just completely changed the way you look at it. It's a business. I look at it dogmatically. But you're right. You do not know from minute 1 to minute 2. But if Amari Williams were to commit, I believe it would jump us up to about number 7 in the recruiting rankings. But guys don't get hyped about that because, other guys can sign guys too. It's not like it's not a static thing. It's not like everybody else sits still. We get to sign Amari Williams and then boom, we jump up to 7th. There's a good chance anybody in front of us or behind us could also sign somebody. We could sign him potentially and still stay right at there. But if I had to guess, I think Florida State can get up to probably 8. If I had to guess where we end up finishing, we get him. But there's a guy named Cam Riley from Auburn who's supposed to be on campus this weekend that I'm super excited about. We've all talked a ton about Sean Murphy, the guy that was brought in through the transfer portal from Alabama. Second or third year guy, I believe second year guy third year guy didn't have a ton of snaps, redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore kind of situation. The staff took a little bit of heat because he didn't have a ton of snaps. We need experience. We're losing, 2 seniors and kind of stalwarts of the defense, the dude who played the lion's share of the snaps. Even though we did get a DJ Lundy to come back, which was huge, people just want a linebacker to come in with experience, and that's what you get in a Cam Riley. But he's not what you imagine when you think of a linebacker with Randy Shannon. I mean, I believe, I don't want to get the height wrong. He's 6'2", maybe 242 pounds, something like that. He's a big dude. He's kind of a hybrid linebacker. He could get on the line and rush, but also plays coverage. Have you gotten a chance to look at him at all?
Slightly. And what concerns me about him is the next level. He's a linebacker / safety. That's what concerns me about him.
At 242 pounds?
Yes. I mean,
Jesus Christ. Yeah. I didn't want to misquote. I think he is 6'4", 6'5", 6'4", 242 pounds.
You got 320 pound defensive linemen now running, 4.5 40s.
Yeah.
Stuff that was unheard of 20 years ago.
Oh, it's unreal. It's scary. Like, I couldn't even. Doesn't make sense.
Makes me glad I am 45 years old, not taking any more snaps.
Yeah.
Because
I never. Makes me glad Mom never let me get into it. Mom turned that shit down. By the time I got to high school, I was like, and she's like, "Now you can." I'm like, "Fuck, I'm in 9th grade. I want to go out there. These dudes are serious about this. I don't get my head taken off. I'll run track freshman year, get my varsity letter that way." But no. Yeah, we'll see. What do you think of Cam Riley, Jen?
Well, I'd be happy taking anybody from Auburn, so I'm cool with that.
What do you think of Hugh Freeze's hires and kind of what's been going on over there? You seen he's got the legend DJ Durkin as a defensive coordinator?
I don't know, George. Why don't you tell me what you think of your crush's new hires?
Well, I'm just telling you, Nick Saban just retired. Hugh Freeze, you get a guy who didn't work out with A&M with that crazy fucked up, incestuous staff they had over there with every person who's ever like killed somebody through weight conditioning or had an affair on a motorcycle. Like, they put the whole fucking thing together. I'm saying you get a man of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and Hugh Freeze, and you bring in a DJ Durkin.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about the offense because
was that before or after Hugh Freeze
was calling prostitutes?
Yeah, was hitting up back.
Always back to the Gumas, man. What is this with you and the Gumas? Yeah, I should have known when you told me who your favorite character. I should have known where we were going with this segment. I mean, come on. Okay, I'm gonna stop, guys. But no, Hugh Freeze.
Y'all gotta get
Saban's gone. That's all I'm saying. Saban's gone.
He's just started watching The Sopranos, so now he's like learning this new lingo, which is very interesting.
Oh my gosh. It's a great show. I've been putting it off for years and years. I finally it's like one of those things. I've kept it in the tank.
Most of us were aware of how good The Sopranos were,
No, I knew how good it was. I
heard it was good, but I never watched it. It took me a while. It took me a while to get into Game of Thrones and watch Game of Thrones. And then I found out, hey, Game of Thrones makes incest look okay. That's the reason why they're so they love that,
killer ratings in Alabama, huh?
Yeah, brother and sisters love Alabama.
Lord have mercy.
Let's see. I liked Rescue Me. Have you tried Rescue Me, George? You should try that.
That's the one with the Dennis Leary or whatever, the guy who stole all the jokes.
Yeah.
I'm not a Leary fan, but that was intense. He's the firefighter, right?
Yeah.
Check that one out. But no, I like The Sopranos.
Something you need
and for whatever reason, Christopher is he's like the biggest piece of shit, black sheep, goofball, always messing up. But I like him. He's my guy.
I was more of an Entourage guy.
Oh man, I watched that one a decade ago. That freaking, oh my goodness, that was a long time ago. But yes, I love Entourage.
Kev says he's not watched Yellowstone. Are you kidding?
Oh shit, you gotta watch that, Kev.
Are you kidding?
Yellowstone is where it's at. I mean, everybody, any kind of political race divides, it swallows it. Everybody can agree that Yellowstone is a great damn show. It's like Friday. Like, I don't like Friday, Yellowstone. Some things are just made to where it just crosses all divides and it's just bam. man, it looks like our guy Tiny Hat is saying that The Wire was better, and I'm not going to tell you. I
yeah, The
have.
Wire was so good. The
That's
Wire
after.
was so good.
That's next after The Sopranos. I haven't seen The Wire either. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Bobby
The
coming off
Wire
the
was
top
so
rope.
good.
He hasn't seen Yellowstone or Game of Thrones. What the fuck? What's going on with you guys?
So
Bobby,
I've
you
seen
got
Game
a
of
lot of time on
Thrones.
your hands. You know,
Yeah.
you're not on watching Miami win, so you need to watch Yellowstone and Game of Thrones.
There you go. Too damn good. Next, you're going to tell me you haven't seen Breaking Bad, Bobby. Get the hell out of here, man. Come on.
So
Well, since I seen Tiny
I
Hat,
don't really like Game of Thrones. I'm just gonna say it. I'm
you
gonna
don't
say
really
I don't
like it. Does that mean you
I
watched
don't.
it?
Yeah, I've watched it. I just don't like it. I don't like
Different
it.
strokes for
I
different
don't.
folks.
You know, they kill too many babies in it for me, and I just I can't do it. When they left that baby out there in like the snow, I can't.
Well,
Hey,
you
do it.
damn sure don't
to
like
me,
House of Dragons, then.
The greatest part of that show was when Jon Snow first fights the Night King, and as the boat's drifting off and you see him raise his arms and all the dead stand up, to me that was like the greatest part of that show.
Yeah, I was all into the last couple seasons when it really got goofy, but I mean, yeah, really great stuff. And guys, since we've got kind of lost here, we kind of having some fun freestyling. I put the number on the bottom of the screen, so the bat line is open if you have any questions about Florida State football, any of the stuff that's going on, or Sopranos or whatever the hell. No spoilers, no nothing like that, guys. I'm still only on second season, so just remember that. But anyways, the phone line is open if you have any questions. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jen.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I don't know how we got on TV shows. Let's see who asked that.
Because y'all two are the ones that brought up Sopranos.
Well, no, because you go straight to prostitution every time we start talking football and the Auburn football program. That's where you guys go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look,
the guy, you build 1,000 bridges. You do. I'm not even gonna say the saying, but
just because Hugh was, DMing you on a Saturday night at 2:30 in the morning, we're supposed to all just be okay with them.
Basically, Hugh Freeze was Vince McMahon before Vince McMahon came out that he was doing the shit that he was doing.
Oh my goodness! I've purposely, I haven't even read that. I haven't even read that purposely.
Again, it's just Auburn made up a rumor about Brian Harsin that he was having affairs and doing all this stuff, got him fired for morality, and then turned around and hired Hugh Freeze. Like, we aren't all watching this. Like, we're just stupid. Okay, cool.
It's like the pot calling the kettle black.
It's ridiculous. So, I mean, I guess I just feel bad that a man who was not doing that got accused of it, got fired. Who knows what his wife thought? I mean, if a man gets accused, usually the woman's like, there's a reason you're getting accused. So who knows how much it messed up his life? We don't know. I'm just saying it's just wrong. And Auburn's fan base, I guess they deserve everything they get.
What do you guys think about all these different TROs and all these different things that Virginia and Tennessee and I think a couple other schools are doing against the NCAA? What do you think that means for Florida State? Like, I know we talked about the Big 10 and the SEC and all this stuff. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, we kind of we did the old way. You self-report, you try to da-da-da. I think it's just because we have so much going on. They figured let everybody do the work. Like, we're already fighting the ACC. We don't need to fight the NCAA as well. But how do the rest of these, you think that the rest of these lawsuits and the things that's happening in the TROs and stuff that Virginia and Tennessee are doing will affect us, and possibly you see a thing where like, oh, all of a sudden Alex Atkins is in Dublin and he's not missing the first 3 games?
I honestly think it could, because now, the NCAA is actually having to go after a real thing that happened with Florida promising a kid that had never played a down $13 million. So, I think the whole thing they got Florida State on was complete horseshit.
I got a question here, and we can get back to this or we can keep it going. This guy's asked this question 2 or 3 times, and I forgot. He's curious, and I'll let you guys go first. He says, George, I'm curious what you guys think FSU's record will be on average when they go to the Big Ten?
I'd say 9 or 10 wins.
I'll say 10 to 12 wins. Just
10 to 12.
because you look at it, the Big Ten, like the SEC, is top heavy. You got Penn State's good, every few years. Who's good every year there? Michigan, Ohio State. Occasionally, every 5 years, Wisconsin will have a good team.
Yeah, I agree. I think people make a lot out of how big and how powerful the SEC and the Big Ten are and how many good teams have went over there. But, when you kind of look at it, like Chip said, it's top heavy. And also when you have 20 teams in your conference, that means you're not playing them every year. You're not going to play in one given year, Oregon, USC, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, all in one year. It's going to be spread out. Maybe you get Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon one year, and then you get Michigan, Wisconsin, and somebody else the next year. You'll have your state rivalries that are year after year. But I agree. I think the kind of, one thing that hasn't changed over the years is what kind of signals to excellence and being an elite program, and that's 10 plus wins. I think he averages 10 wins, maybe 11, maybe I think you get with 10 in a number. I think you'll end up after 5 years averaging like 10.7 wins, where you have undefeated year, a couple loss years, maybe a 9-3 season here or there where you just have a crazy schedule and maybe you're reloading or something like that. But as crazy as it sounds, I think people think, oh, well, you're leaving the ACC, you're going to that much of a tougher schedule. It's got to result in less losses. But the thing is, even though the ACC, given what it is, we never benefited from that shit. We never got a coastal schedule in the ACC. We were playing the top 5, top 6 teams in the ACC every single year. So as much as people want to talk shit, and it's been our big, huge fight on here, Florida year in, year out has not had that much of a crazier, harder schedule than Florida State. Next year, their schedule, fuck yeah, it's harder than anybody's probably and way harder than Florida State's. But year in, year out, when the East was shit, when Mark Richt was at Georgia and Kentucky was a joke and Vanderbilt was a joke and Tennessee was a joke, I mean, Florida State was the hardest game Florida played all year because we saw it year in, year out. They would win the East and then get their ass whooped by Jimbo when they came and played us. So, yeah, don't think it's going to affect the win-loss total much. If anything, half a game type of deal.
Next year, we're literally going to watch Billy Napier's career come to an end. Week in and week out.
That's just crazy, man. You almost feel bad for a guy because how can you be in such a shitty situation? The first half is manageable. The first half, but you could still come out of that thing 2-3 or 3-2. Chances are you could do a good 4-1 after that. But then you've got, to have Texas, LSU, Florida State, it's just it's cruel and unusual punishment to have all those without any break in between. It's the type of shit the ACC, as I just mentioned, did to Florida State year in, year out.
Every time, yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for him whatsoever because of him voting in the final coaches poll for us 9th. Screw him. I think he gets exactly what he deserves.
I can't get over Kirby Smart. Well, in 2022, voting us 18th. What the fuck was that about? You think he didn't know we were in South Georgia doing all that recruiting when he voted us 18th after going 10-3 and finishing off Oklahoma? It's man, Kirby, come on, guy. You see this shit. Where's it at? You were associated with this shit. We weren't 18th last year, but you vote us 18th. And that casts the shadow, that casts the doubt of when, you climb all the way to go 13-0, you get left out. But I digress. It's all a bunch of BS. And, as much as we know it's not going to completely fix it, and it just, it's levels of things. I am glad that we get the 12-team playoff because in my heart of hearts, I just don't see Norvell missing it many times. Is there a chance he could? Yeah, for sure. You could easily miss one, but more years than not, I feel like with that 10-11 win average, you could see Norvell being in that 12-team playoff. And I just like us. I like our coaching staff when it comes to development, when it comes to X's and O's. I love them against anybody. I really do. What do you think about, I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but we haven't talked about it a ton. There's a guy on Twitter who made some pretty bold claims, put it out there about the ACC and possibly getting in 24. Did you mention earlier you think there's a shot that that we could do that?
Who are you talking to, me or
Chip,
Jen?
didn't you say earlier that you thought that they could even possibly get in this year versus instead of 2025?
No, I think this is our last year in the ACC. I think this is the year
they're gonna play it out no matter what.
Yeah, we put the nail in the coffin, but I think we get out of the ACC. I think we can get out of the ACC without having to pay a dime and them actually paying us.
For sure. I must have misheard that. Guys, don't forget, we're an hour in. The phone number is on the bottom of the screen, 850-495-1906. You can call in, you can text in, whatever you want to do, get your questions in, and we will talk about it on the show. We all appreciate you guys so much for all the subscriptions, all the memberships, the super chats, everything you guys do for us. Make sure you follow Jen at Jen Santee 1890. Make sure you're signed up to the Unconquered 850 Facebook group that Chip runs, and be on the lookout for Chop Talk coming up soon. Chip and his guy Hunter, kind of the guys running it, and me and Jen, you will see us on there most times, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and we can't wait to do that. But again, get those questions in if you have any questions. And what do you guys think? Anything you guys want to talk about?
Well, the one thing I want to mention is thoughts and prayers to the Martin family with the loss of a legend a few days ago. And hell, I mean, this is not Florida State related. We lost another legend today in Carl Weathers. Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
Both pretty close in age too. I think they were both mid-70s. Mike Martin, yeah. I mean, we talked about it. We opened the show with about 10 minutes on him. We played a couple clips and stuff. Just a guy, you know, it was a different era when Bobby Bowden and Mickey Andrews and these guys stayed, and they were the coach for 20 years, and the staff stayed together and all these things. Mike Martin stayed at Florida State for 20, 30. I don't even want to say it wrong, but he was here for decades and decades after playing here and then coming back as assistant coach and then becoming the head coach. And then eventually his son takes over for him. So I'm glad he got to experience all that while he was here with us, and just larger than life. When you think FSU baseball, you think Mike Martin, just like when you think FSU football, you think Bobby Bowden. So definitely prayers with those guys. And I imagine Link Jarrett and those boys are going to play inspired for them this year. And it'll be a lot of fun to see the respect and the different gestures that people across the country will make for a legend. I mean, a Hall of Fame member. You know, we could go on and on for a guy like Mike Martin. And when it comes to Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers, I mean, you talk about an actor that with some iconic roles that we all kind of grew up watching. Rocky, you know, if you didn't watch Rocky as you were a kid and get fired up and want to go hit the heavy bag, you're just not American. I don't know what to say.
Dude, my cousin would make fun of me because after Rocky would get off, I'd go run around the yard and I'm shadow boxing and shit.
You got to. It was before my time, but it's like I've heard people talk about it whenever Bruce Lee was the man. It's like everybody, you know, you got out of the Bruce Lee thing, you got to go get your nunchucks and run around. It's like it's good stuff.
I mean, you look at you look. I mean, like I said, this ain't FSU. You look at the cast of that movie. Hell, you really only have Dolph Lundgren, Sylvester Stallone, and I can't remember that played Adrian. They're the only ones left alive.
Wow, I never realized that. I mean, that's a long time ago. You mean the first Rocky was what? 68, 72, something like that?
76.
76. That's a long time ago, man. That was a long time before even my time.
The actress that played Adrian was also Michael Corleone's sister in The Godfather.
Tyler Shear.
Facts.
That's her name.
Yep. There we go. Shear.
Yes, sir. Well, guys,
it's The Godfather. If I'm flipping through the channels, The Godfather Part 1 or 2 is on, or Taken is on. That's where my remote sticks. I'm sorry. It's just the way it goes.
Oh, yeah. Taken. That's a killer. It's like the first Final Destination movie before they went and got crazy with it.
I just abide by them.
Yeah, I got to tell you about the Final Destination. I remember when that movie came out in theaters, I was in town for spring break or Christmas break, one of the two. And I went with a friend to go see the movie, and I was flying out the next morning. and it opens with a damn plane explode, and I'm like, great. Let's put it. I was killing several little bottles of Crown.
I believe it. Growing up here in the panhandle of Florida with all these pine trees, it's those damn. It's always the traffic ones where the pines fall off things and go through your windshield. Nightmares.
That's what I was saying. I was saying, who will ever get behind one of those trucks anymore with all those trees in the back? No. Not a one person is doing it. I will tell you right now, if I see one on the highway, I am getting the hell over. I'm not dealing with it. Nope. I don't care. And by the way, y'all are over here being like about Rocky with Carl Weathers, and I'm over here just thinking Happy Gilmore. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Yes. What is he? Mm-hmm. What do they call him? Carl in Happy Gilmore, right? Chubbs. Okay, yeah, Uncle Chubbs. That's right. Classic stuff. Going out the window. The fact that he dies, like you think it's gonna be like a comedy gag, or he's like down there, like this, but no, he's just dead and he's in heaven. And way Adam Sandler did all that stuff, bringing his friends along with him was pretty cool. He's like in heaven in another movie, teaching people how to dance and shit. Yeah, one of the guys that
was Little Nicky.
Was it Little Nicky? But there's tons of them. Like he reprise roles like that with just little people. Like of course Rob, what's his name with the "You can't do it." You can do it all night long. Rob Schneider, that's right.
That's what I always think about Florida fans when he's like, "Oh my God, we suck again."
We suck again.
I actually had a meme of him in a Florida State outfit doing that shit after a game that we should have. It was actually, I think, the Jacksonville State game.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we won't talk about that though.
No, we don't have to talk about that anymore because we're over that.
What about the paper mill in Cantonment, Kev? I worked there for a while, man. I'm a pipe fitter. Spear Addicts Media. This is what the after show looks like. Y'all having too much fun. Man, it's one of those days. We've talked about it all. So we figured we have a little fun, man. The conversation goes where it goes today. Again, if you have any questions, the phone line is open. Feel free to call in. We'll touch it all. But yeah. We're just having fun, man. We are having fun.
Yeah, I can't even get my brain wrapped around sitting down to watch a scripted TV show anymore. They're just not any good. So,
well, I would tell you what you could watch, but you'll call me a nerd and everything else. Japan makes
tell me anime,
badass shit.
You are 100% correct.
It doesn't have to be anime. It doesn't have to be anime, but just that is a big one.
I'm still one of those that I watch The Walking Dead. And I've watched the spinoffs they put out. Dead City to me was good. The Daryl Dixon, his show was good. And I think the 25th they're coming out with the Rick and Michonne series, the ones that live.
My ADD is way too bad to sit down and watch people walk slowly through empty fields. I just can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, I won't say that because that's kind of I won't say that because I get it. I watch some creepy stuff and some stuff that's weird that other people aren't into. But yeah, I feel the same thing. I feel like every episode of The Walking Dead is the same. It's but that's shit talking.
Storylines. I'm not gonna lie about that. I'm just saying I
different
I
folks
wrap my head around.
Shows.
Yeah, sitting down. Everybody knows what my show is. I watch one TV show. It is
yeah, I'm an asshole for watching Japanese animation, but Vanderpump Rules is the pinnacle of cinema.
That is real life, George. That is real life. Okay, it's real life. And if you want to sit there and bash on Vanderpump, that's fine. That's fine. I know it's a bad habit. I get it. But don't even ask him. He watched it on what night did you watch it?
I did watch. I told you I would watch, so I would have an idea of what the shit.
Minute of it.
Oh, now we're telling fibs.
He did. He loved every minute of it. He's so into it now. He's asked me for all the podcasts. He's asked me for all the TV shows, the recaps, all the things. George is now a Vanderpump Rules fan, guys.
She's so full of shit. Oh my gosh.
One
But
thing
yeah,
we can talk
Japanese, when it
about.
comes to story writing and world building and all that good stuff, say what you want about it being for kids or stuff. There's nobody that comes close to world building stuff. And there's those stuff. There are things that are more adult that are not anime. I'm drawing a blank. They've had some like anime people produce some live action stuff over here that wasn't anime type stuff. But yeah, if you're not reading or watching Japanese storytelling and world building, you're doing yourself a disservice. But I'm sorry, Chip. What did you want to talk about
No,
back on football?
there's one. I'll get to what I was gonna say, but there's one Japanese movie to me that was great. I think it was Japanese. It was The Raid. If you have never seen The Raid Redemption, that shit is so damn high, like just high pace. Jen, your ADD would be okay in that one.
Would it? I don't know. I just lost track of what I was doing just now.
The Raid Redemption.
She's just one of those haters, man. What are you
Yeah,
gonna
but
do?
what I was
No,
gonna talk
I'm not a
about,
hater. I just get this.
what I was gonna talk
I'm
about
listening.
is let's talk about the capacity of Doak Campbell. Next
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's going to be way down.
Yeah, people are really upset about that, Chip. What's your take on it?
Oh man, hell, I had to shed a tear because I was in section, 29, and my seat, the whole section is completely gone, and I'm just wondering what are they going to do with, you're going to be down 20,000 seats.
Yeah, 20 plus for sure.
Are they going up on season tickets for this year? I haven't paid for mine yet.
I'm not sure how many they've sold. Like, how many did they sell last year? Did they sell 50,000? I doubt it. Probably 20, 30,000, something like that. That is a curiosity. My thing is, like, yeah, you have a lot of sellouts and stuff, and it'll affect some. But I think there's even on sellouts, there's a lot of, kids get opportunities. Like, we don't want to do away with that. That's like obviously we want the capacity to be what it is. But I think it's maybe a little overdone. People freaking out. I think it's going to be okay, but it does suck. I could only imagine having the same seat for 30 years and seeing it ripped up. That would be emotional. But if you've experienced the Champions Club, like it's going to be worth it. Like there's only so many home games. What's going to really suck is those Florida and Clemson games. That's going to suck.
Yeah.
Well,
what's your thoughts, Jen?
Well, I don't get to come to Tallahassee as much as I would obviously love to, but I could definitely see how having certain tickets for years would be emotional to give up. You've had family members come in there, probably some that have, moved on in life, to heaven or whatever. But I agree about the Champions Club, and I also agree that the renovations need to happen. Now, whether or not they needed to pull up seats and do all these other things, I would need to look in a little bit more on that. I can't, delve too far into that. I can't imagine how emotional that really is, though, to have those seats pulled up. But I hope that people can get some of those seats back. I hope that everybody can come back to the stadium and enjoy it and maybe move to the Champions Club. Maybe, all right, I can't say find new seats because I feel like that's like the people saying, oh, well, in the next playoff, those kids, they wouldn't be left out. It's just kind of the same bullshit, honestly.
It is what it is. Look, if your feelings are hurt, if the people are going to have feelings about it and it sucks, but it is what it is. It's like the old logo and the new logo. In a couple of years, when everything's back together, everybody's going to love it. But we got a special caller calling in. We're having one of these fun episodes, I imagine. Let's see what this call is going to be like. You are live with the Renegade Rundown.
What is up, people? Tiny Hat Gang, we are in the building here. I just wanted to call in. I know you guys are talking about the stadium renovations, but I wanted to run down the top 5 list of movie/TV shows and the drinks that George is drinking and watching while he is sitting in his FSU bathrobe on his bed. Number 5. Okay, he's watching Clueless with Alicia Silverstone while he has a nice chilled glass of champagne. Number 4, Jen's over here laughing. Number 4, he is over here watching the Bad Girls Club, Miami edition. Bad Girls Club, Miami, and he has.
I put you on the fucking
Hennessy.
What are we doing here?
Hennessy.
And listen, we out here.
Hennessy
He's got a nice
Club.
chilled glass of Hennessy so he can get into his fighting spirit and mood. Number 3, all right, he is watching Survivor, and he is drinking nothing but water, not ice water. He's drinking tepid room water because he wants to feel like he is on the island, on the beach, with the squad out there as they are struggling and fighting over rice kernels. Okay. Number 2, he is watching The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and he is making sure to drink a nice Bellini. Okay, he has a nice Bellini going for all of my uncivilized people like George out here. That is some champagne with a little bit of what is that, pear juice or peach juice in it? That's what he's doing. And number 1 on the list of movie/TV shows that George is out here watching while sipping his drink, number 1 is Martin. And he is watching Martin wearing a black t-shirt, some black jeans. He's got a gold rope
I can watch
chain.
some Martin now. Okay.
He's got a gold rope chain, and he is sipping on some straight gin, not regular gin. He is drinking Seagrams out of a plastic bumpy bottle because he needs that naughty head just in case he got to go fight a Florida Gator or a Miami Hurricane out here. All right, I just wanted to jump on here and let y'all know. I got you figured out. George. That's okay. Tiny Hat Gang, we out, baby.
Appreciate you, bro. Anytime, man. You know the number, and we'll have you on.
George, I got you.
Jeez, how's he gonna do me like that? And you got the pink shirt on, Chip. Like, what did I do?
Hey, man. Hey, I got you pictured more of like watching Flavor of Love, drinking some.
I did watch that. I did watch some Flavor of Love back in the day. I did watch that shit and laugh at it. That was some of the best shit you ever seen.
Mom, you look back at my past relationships, and it probably look like more of a Flavor of Love. I'm straight.
A little bit of New York in your life.
Mine looks like Life After Lockup. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh.
So
I thought you were about to say yours would be like Orange is the New Black.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Orange is not my color wheel, so like those jumpsuits really wouldn't do that for me. And I'm also not a lesbian. Sorry.
Yeah, no, man. I just, whatever it is, something happened in my old age. I just seemed like everything on TV turned the same. Whatever. Call me an anime nerd if you want. I love the stories. I love the world building. Nothing like it. So it's either one of those. It's a polarizing. You either love it or you think it's corny. But I'm into it. But anyways, moving on, guys. The number again is on the bottom.
Wait. What I loved was Tiny Hat mentioned the Bellini. That is my favorite day drink, guys.
That's like the fancy
champagne with
spritzer or whatever.
Juice. Yeah, it's champagne with peach juice. It's so good. You can get some fresh peaches on a southern afternoon and cut them up, and you put them in your in your champagne glass, which I usually don't use a champagne glass because they're very small. I don't,
Just give me a Sprite Zero and Crown Peach, and I'm good.
There you go. That Crown, man. If I do drink, that is like the whiskey I like to drink. But boy, it's trouble. I like Crown or Crown Apple. I'm always like stuff with a little bit of apple tinge to it. But
what about this? What about the Crown Blackberry they're about to come out with in March?
Ooh, that sounds really good with the bite. With that blackberry taste, that would be like, if I could think of an aftertaste, blackberry would be a damn good one. I'll have to try that. Maybe at the spring game. Will it be out by then?
March. So yes, it will. And
let's go.
I will be at the tailgate and I will bring a bottle.
And the tailgate this year is 420. Imagine that. So we found out, we talked to our guy Freddie the other day. He was worried he wasn't going to be able to go because it was his birthday weekend and they had plans for a trip with his family and stuff. So boom, 420. So he'll be out there with everybody else as always at the big tailgate that Spear Addicts Media, Den Media Group, and now Dope Talk with CJ Wilson, James Coleman, and Chris Razor all put on every year. So can't wait to do that. Make sure everybody gets out there to that. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the Renegade Report, guys. Every subscription matters. I'm sure probably all 128 of y'all are subscribed, but if you're not, go check. Just make sure that subscription thing is done. If you want to join memberships up, it's the same spot. After you hit subscribe, it'll turn to join. So if that's something you were interested, you could. There's also renegadereport.substack.com. We usually do an article or two every day. Our writer, Matt Champion, has been doing a great job. We'll probably have him on again. He had a little bit of technical issues when we tried to have him on Tuesday. We'll probably have him on again probably next Tuesday or something. He's going to have a project to pump and come on here and talk about a big story he's working on. And we'll let you know when that comes out. That's renegadereport.substack.com. Again, it's Jen Santee 1890 on X. Chip Westerly is Unconquered 850 on Facebook. That's his group. And also he's working on Chop Talk, a show that involves kind of the whole family, all of us here. I think we've about, this is like way shorter than we normally do. Where do y'all want to go? Got anything?
I've got to actually fall off.
All right. Well, bam. Perfect timing for Chip.
And definitely just invite me on. I'll come on anytime.
Absolutely, brother.
All right,
thank you for coming on. We'll see you next time. What do you got, Jen? Anything you want to get off your chest before we get out of here?
What do I have? Let's see. What episode are you on The Sopranos? I think everybody would like to know. Where did you drop off?
I'm on like the 10th episode of the second season.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember exactly what's going on. Chris just got, I don't want to give spoilers, I guess. It's old enough. You can't get, I don't know, because I don't want nobody spoiling me. Long story short, Chris survived. Christopher survived his shooting, and they're freaking out about it because of what he said. And old dude gets outed as gay at the psychic, so he starts to beat his ass. He's like, this one's talking to you, and that one's talking to you. I have a feeling Sal, I think is his name is. He's secretly gay, and he's like killed all of his boyfriends throughout the years. That's my guess. I haven't watched the show, but I guess we're gonna find out. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah, 2007. Yes, champs. It ended in 2007, but I still haven't watched it. I still don't want to know what happens.
He's catching up.
FSU is invited to the Big Ten. What is this, Tempest? What are you talking about? Is there some news that broke?
Not
that we don't know about? Because we have talked on this show a ton. If you're new with us, 2025, that's our prediction. Florida State will be in the Big Ten. And Florida, and while there's not they can't really make an invitation to we're out of the ACC. Thus, the lawsuit and everything going on right now, which they have backdated and done all the things possible to where, if in the best case scenario, 2024, but 99.9% sure you're probably going to be in the ACC for 24. And as long as you get out of the ACC, grant a rights deal by August 14th at midnight, you'll be out. And yes, you will have an invitation to the Big Ten. But unless you have some information that has become public or something, feel free to share that. No, just waiting for the invite. Yeah, we all are, man. But the key is you're not going to get that invite, at least publicly, until you're out. But if you can't read between the lines, check it out. Okay, KP. Well, we're going to have to work on this tiny hat. Can I help? Can I give you you know what to do. You know what to do. All I'm saying is there better be some fucking animes in there and like a fucking natural ice or something, just to really embarrass her. Anyways.
You think I'm going to be embarrassed by a natural natty ice, honey? I am from Tennessee, darling. If you
natural
think I've never
ice,
drank
that shit is like
ice,
fucking radioactive. Not natural ice. Natural ice with the fucking mountains on it.
Drink a natty ice.
That shit's like antifreeze.
To tell you, sir.
I'm not saying you haven't drank one, but it's gonna bring back some bad memories, is what I'm saying.
A lot of things bring back bad memories, but
Bush is so cheap. Like, I never understand. I guess because it's got a high alcohol content. I'll never forget some asshole bought me a natural ice one time, and it was like, what is this? Sewage water. Miller High Life, yes, very good. $8 for like a 12-pack.
I've drank Ice House beer.
I think that's right there with natural ice. I think, but I've never tried it.
Red Dog. Does anybody remember Red Dog? Anybody remember Red Dog?
Oh yeah, that's like somebody does a thing on Twitter every 2 weeks, acting like they're. Look at me with my Red Dog, my Mando 2020.
Yes, KP. Ice House. You're right. That's some sad shit right there.
I think Kyle's Corner's got it figured out. You have got life figured out, my friend.
That was having to go to there was an apartment complex. Maybe Bradley can and oh, Southpaw, yes, Bradley, do you remember the
How about Old
gas
Crow? Y'all ever
station?
drink that paint thinner?
Oh,
Old Crow?
no. There was a gas station at this like apartment complex.
$10
It
whiskey.
was called like I forget what it was, but that's where we would go buy booze. And oh hell yeah. Did Tiny Hat just figure out how I made money in high school? Uh-oh. I think he did.
Those were fun, man.
Oh no. I would have people go out and take kegs from other field parties and then charge.
And look at this. I
those
drank this
people-
whole water on the show. So y'all can be proud of me. This is a
Bradley
leader.
can absolutely attest to this.
That's some
I
good
would
shit.
have friends of mine go steal kegs from like younger groups parties at fields, and then
You
we would take
asshole!
them.
The younger
no.
kids? Why would you take the fucking younger
Well,
kids?
you know, because I didn't want to go buy them
Fucking
myself.
straight up
so,
bully.
oh,
Makes
well,
it
yeah,
all
I
makes
mean-
sense now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was a total bully.
Bullies me on this show every day.
So, but then I would charge people $10 to come drink off a keg I didn't pay for. Yeah. Oh, look,
Hitting
there's
licks, man.
Brad.
Unreal. What?
He said no lies are being told right now.
None. Those were the days, man. Those were the days. My buddy had a my buddy I kind of stayed with my senior year. He had a F-150 and it had 2 gas tanks in it. We kept one of them bitches on E. So anytime after school, there'd be 3 or 4 people. Can I get a ride? Can I get a ride here, there? Yeah, sure, but it's gonna take $10, man. We got no gas. We did $50-$60 every day on that. Oh man, the good days.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know how good they
yeah.
were back then, but
You know, I've been told I'm probably on if you've ever seen the movie Billy Madison, you know, where Steve Buscemi is like marking people off his list. I've kind of been told I was on some people's top 10 lists. I think that kind of goes with that.
here's who
wasn't the
you were,
nicest-
Jen. Jen, you were the one that pulled up to the party in your Jeep to use your headlights to let everybody watch and play beer pong, but then you leave it in gear and you get out and the Jeep rolls forward and fucking crushes the beer pong table and everybody goes running. That's who Jen is. Anyways, I thought that was funny. So that is a true story as well.
Okay, but then you would have to thought that I would have to drive myself anywhere. I didn't.
That is true. You have a chauffeur, but you probably, yeah, you're right. You're right. You probably
I
had a
didn't.
chauffeur back in them days.
I was never driving myself like out. My God, no.
Alrighty, guys. Well, before we get into strawberry wine in 1989 and all that stuff,
Washed jean jacket. She was in a White Snake video.
now that I could see,
Yes, Bradley, I know I'm correct. I did never have to. I never drove myself. I mean, come on now. I went to prom as a freshman. I mean,
I'm sure you did.
like, come on, guys.
The debutante of the school,
No.
or is that the wrong? That's the wrong word there. Do you have to be a certain? Don't you have to be like a certain age to be a debutante? I guess I said that wrong. That implies an older woman.
Well, that means you're coming out, which is like what, 13? So yeah, I did go through all those things, but I'm not gonna go into this.
Smoking them.
I'm so weird.
As long as she wasn't smoking them cloves, she was good. What the fuck? What these cloves? You're smoking cloves, Jim?
No, I didn't. We would just like back in those
And
days.
that
I think we would
beautiful blonde hair. It really is the
Thank
beautiful
you,
blonde hair.
thank
that
you.
Jim has.
Clove
All the
cigarettes.
compliments. Oh, clove cigarettes. There you go. I'm thinking of the shit you put in pushing the turkey. I never understand why people like what people like about cloves. That taste is just ugh. Yeah.
I skipped prom too. Well, I mean, I didn't skip prom.
I went to one. I
No,
went to my
I
senior
didn't.
prom,
I
and
did
that was
not
it.
smoke. I didn't smoke clove cigarettes. Oh my god!
What, Virginia
I did
Slims?
not. No, What are we talking about? I did not. Oh, okay, Bradley is just making up rumors. I did not smoke clove cigarettes. I didn't.
Virginia
I did
Slims?
not. No, I did not smoke those
Pools?
either.
Marlboro
A
Reds?
Marlboro Red 100.
No, she is
No,
most
no.
certainly not a Marlboro Reds girl. I can tell you
Yeah,
that right fucking now.
come on. Let's be real.
I've
It
been with a
was
few
ultra.
Marlboro Red girls in my day, and that is not Jen.
It was Marlboro Ultralights. Like, let's be real here, guys. Like, there we go. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah,
The
Marlboro
ultralights?
Ultralights. Yeah,
Jeez, ultralights.
yeah.
You could inhale one of them down. But all right,
Well, I
guys,
mean,
look, we're at an hour and a half. This seems like a pretty good spot. We could keep cutting up with you guys, but we really appreciate everybody. We've done a lot of shows. You know, we kind of covered a lot of stuff yesterday. So we love you
why
guys.
don't
We will. What's up?
no wait? Go into what we're doing on Sunday though, because that's gonna be a good show.
Oh, yeah, before we get out of here, let me actually, yeah, that way I'm glad you called that because I will pull up their
Thank you.
names and I will attempt to announce who we're going to have on Sunday. Let's see here. Well, there we go. So we will be having on the head football coach at Reading High School in Virginia. He's a Samoan. His @ on X, if you want to go follow him, is @ Samoan Sigma Coach Godinet, Godinet. He's the guy I was telling you guys about. We had him in a space, and we got a really good, really super intelligent conversation. He really follows FSU. I guess he's a fan, but he just really intelligent guy. Really want to have a good conversation with him about NIL, kind of where this thing is going, what you tell kids with all the changes and everything going forward. And also the other high school coach, and that's basically what it's going to be, a special with a couple of different high school coaches to get their point of view things. The other guy is a coach out on the West Coast at Aquinas. It's kind of the St. Thomas Aquinas over there, but on the West Coast, the Aquinas Falcons. He's the head coach over there, George Anagnostopoulos. Bam, I think I fucking nailed that. George Anagnostopoulos. He's the head coach, again, over at Aquinas High School in California, the Aquinas Falcons. And he coached Sione Lolohea, a.k.a. Toko, our defensive end that we signed from Oregon State. So he'll have some really good information into that. It's going to be a lot of fun to have a guy of Samoan heritage who was a coach from over here in the East Coast and a guy on the West Coast who coached one of our, stars coming in. Hopefully we'll be the ringleader for our Hawkeye stuff. We'll see. Maybe he can give us some more information into that because we're total nerds about that stuff. I love the culture. I can't get enough about hearing about it and how all that stuff goes and where they drive their pride from. We love it. And there's one more question before we get out of here. George, are you guys planning on coming down to the Miami game? As of right now, I'm going to say yes. I'm planning to fly into Miami, but I don't have tickets yet or anything like that. We're going to play it by ear, see what happens. I don't have a hotel room booked. Not going to lie, that's going to be an expensive trip. So we'll see how everything goes here in the next 6-7 months. But as of right now, we will for sure be at the spring game. Y'all get up to the spring game, check that out. And we're going to try to make every damn game. I can't speak for Jim. I'm going to try to make every game, but we'll see how it plays out. We will definitely make it to as many as we can. Right now, we're just kind of worried about Dublin. That's the next big trip after the spring game. So make sure you make it to the spring game, and hopefully we can see you guys out in Dublin.
Yes, I would love it. I would love to meet everybody. It'd be so fun.
Well, all right, guys. We love you all, and we will see you Sunday right here on the Renegade Rundown with George and Jen.